Hello there, everybody. My name is Ashley Hunt. I'm the Senior Project Management Instructor here at Storm & Studios, and I thought I'd put together just a quick little blog on using Kanban boards. If you've never used a Kanban board or you have used a Kanban board, you know how cool they are. If you haven't, I'll give you a little bit of an overview of how they work. So in this, we're going to be talking about working with Kanban boards. Now, one of the cool things about working with Kanban is that you have visual overviews of your projects. If you're used to working with Gantt charts or you're used to working with calendars or something of that nature, maybe you might want to use a Kanban board for the simplicity of it. I mean, they're so cool. They really changed the way that I work. It changed the way that I look at scheduling. But just to give you a little bit of history, if you're not familiar, Kanban is the Japanese word for billboard, signboard, card, and in English, loosely translated to queue limitation. And originally, Kanban was created in manufacturing as a just-in-time type of environment for production flow. And so basically, it's a system to control the logistical chain from a production point of view and is an inventory control system. Okay, what does that all mean? Well, basically, the way that Kanban was actually created is when the folks from the Toyota factory after World War II came over to the United States and went to our Detroit manufacturing plants to see what we were doing in the United States and to help shore up their program. And so what they did is they actually walked into an American grocery store when they were stocking the shelves. And what they recognized is that future supply is guaranteed just in time. I can walk into a grocery store, buy a gallon of milk, pull it toward me, and then if I want another one, I can pull another one. Future supply guaranteed. But when I pull one out, the rest don't come crashing down onto my head. So this whole philosophy of just in time led to a Japanese manufacturing system where they utilize and regulate with cards displaying the sequences of the specifications and instructions sent along the production line. When you're ready for the next one, boom, there it is. So basically, it's better communication through visual management. But how does that translate into how we schedule today in a more technological type of environment? Maybe you don't work in manufacturing, so what's in it for you? When you look at a Kanban board, it's basically going with the philosophy that we understand and focus on our customers' needs, and we manage the work, but let people self-organize around it. So if I pull one in, and I'm working on it in progress, and then I'm done, I pull more work in. I'm not having gallons of milk come crashing down on my head when I'm trying to work. And so what we're trying to do is provide value faster in a more streamlined type of way. And basically, we are self-organizing around the work by selecting what we want to work on in progress, not necessarily what we want to work on, but what makes sense to provide value faster. And so when you look at Kanban and the way the Kanban boards work, and I'll show you just an example of one here in just a moment, visualize the work. So what I want you to do is imagine a big whiteboard that has swim lanes. And the first swim lane says, to do. And you have a bunch of Post-it notes. If it's actually physical, there's tons of online Kanban boards. I'll throw out some names for you if you decide that you want to use this and use an online board. But just imagine a whiteboard, to do. Bunch of Post-it notes with all the work that you got to do. The center one says work in progress or WIP. This is what we're doing. And then another one that says done. So you can visualize all the work that you have on your plate and then you can pull it into progress. But we don't want to take on too much. We don't want to multitask. We want to do it right the first time. And so what we're going to do is limit how much work is getting done at once. Now that sounds counterintuitive, but if you've ever tried multitasking or working on multiple things all at once with expectations of a perfect output, you know that's very difficult to do. Limiting work in progress allows us to get it done and then focus on the flow, move it into done. Continuous improvement is also one of the core tenets of Kanban. We're constantly working to improve our output, to improve value. And part of doing that is focusing on the flow of work. Sometimes you'll see Kanban and Lean interacting with each other, both big contributors to a lot of the agile frameworks out there. It's not just predictive project management. Lean is about focusing on the steps that you're taking and removing any unnecessary steps that you're taking in the process, or any speed bumps or things that don't provide value or that cause defects. So you keep your process lean, and then the work is ongoing and flowing just in time. Continuous improvement is a big core tenet of a lot of agile frameworks as well, and you see a lot of that in a quality management environment. Now, Kanban is a pull system, meaning we're pulling work into the process. And instead of basically planning time-boxed sprints or iterations like you might see in Scrum or extreme programming. Basically, in a Scrum environment as an agile framework, the team will load the board with the work that they're going to accomplish within a set time frame or sprint. Sprint, think about it, you run really quickly, but you don't get very far. So those sprints are pre-planned, and they're usually 2 weeks to a month. So the team will load the board with a month's worth of work, and that'll be it. They won't pull any more work into it. Whereas Kanban is a similar philosophy, except it's continuous. Continuous pull system. So as new work comes available to be done, and there's capacity to do so, the item that gets done will trigger the pull of another. So when you take a look at just a basic, very basic Kanban board, you can see backlog. Backlog in agile terminology is a big long list of features and functions that need to be done in a prioritized manner. Some teams will use something called a user story, other teams will use tasks, and so on. But that's the work that needs to be done. Pull it into selected to work on, or you could call it work in progress. There is no fast rule, hard or fast rule, of how you label your swim lanes or your buckets or whatever language you want to use. They can be as many or as few as you need. But you can see what's in progress. You know what's done. You know what's been deployed. Anybody can walk into your workspace or look at your online board and know exactly what it is that needs to be done, that is being done, and that is done. So if you're interested in using Kanban boards, and right now you're virtual due to COVID-19, there's quite a few online boards that you can use. You might have seen advertisements for things like Monday.com. There's also Trello.com, Trello. They have free boards. And if you're a Microsoft 365 user, you might not know that you have an app called Planner. Super easy to use. It integrates with SharePoint, with Outlook, with OneNote. I mean, it's super easy to use, and it's really overly simplified ways of managing complex types of projects. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, go out and check it out. It's definitely a very cool way, and like I said, it's absolutely changed the way that I look at scheduling forever. So hopefully you'll check some of those out.